Hello YouTube. Just wanted to make a short video about a project I undertook during the lockdown. I originally asked a neighbor if I could have a sewing machine, borrow a sewing machine, so that I could sew up some masks for some frontline workers. I hadn't really sewn since grade 8. It was fun. I sewed up some masks, and then she took her machine back, and I put a request out to the Facebook community looking for a older inexpensive sewing machine so that I could carry on doing the work. And I ended up getting given a broken Kenmore 385 that must be about 20 some years old. And task number one was to repair the Kenmore, which I did. It was fun. It was kind of like a Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance type of a situation. Every time I kind of tried it out, there was something new that was broken or malfunctioning, and eventually ironed out all the wrinkles and got the thing functioning quite well. And I thought to myself, after making a ridiculous request to a Chinese manufacturer who makes my favorite ultralight pack, the 3F UL Gear 40+16, which I've modified quite heavily with a new harness, etc., etc. I put a request into that company and asked them if they could potentially make that pack for me in multicam, because it's black and gray and I wanted something in multicam. And a couple weeks later I got a response, and they were kind of nice enough in a jovial way to tell me that they couldn't retool their factory of 2,000 workers in order to make me a custom pack, and when they do a pack run, it's between 20 and 30,000 units. So that's what kind of led me to this place where I was going to potentially use this pandemic lockdown as an opportunity to build my own pack. And I challenged myself to build this project, and I had a feeling that I wouldn't actually be able to do it, but I wanted to try. I just knew in the back of my mind it was more about the journey and less about the destination. So I embarked on patterning out my 3F UL Gear 40+16 pack, and then after I made the decision to build this pack, I also realized that, okay, well, we're locked down, so there's no popping to the fabric store. There's no going out for, stuff to make this thing. So I challenged myself to make the pack using only material, fabric, and hardware salvaged from old gear and shit that I had lying around. And so it was a kind of a double whammy challenge. I'd never sewn anything like this before. I'd never built anything like this before, although I built lots of things. I have not built anything like this before. And to build it out of essentially junkyard scrap. So I embarked on doing so. I ended up, as I said, patterning out the 3F UL Gear 40+16, and then finding through, basically going through my gear lockers and all of my bits and bobs that I kind of keep around, I decided to make the main materials of the pack from a British MTP pattern bivy bag that I'd bought for $30 from a British surplus store a couple years ago, and US multicam rain cover, backpack rain cover, which, if you know how big a backpack rain cover is, it's not much material. And the British MTP bivy bag, I'm not entirely sure it would be, the kind of material that you'd want to pick to build a pack out of, because it's basically bivy bag material. It's like water resistant bivy bag material. And then as the mesh back pocket, I decided to use my old issue Canadian Forces laundry bag, which I was just issued when I was 17 or 18 years old, when I was back in the British Columbia Regiment, Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps, back in the olden times. And so what I ended up doing is just treating it like a mission every day. I just would do a little bit of this and do a little bit of that. And over the course of, I think all told, it was 12 days. 12 days and about 110 hours of design time, stripping down all the old gear, sewing, fixing things that kind of went awry on the machine from time to time. And surprisingly enough, managed to get through the entire project without any real fuck-ups. I was able to get my bar tacks nice and solid. I got all my seams properly done. The machine, although grossly underpowered for this kind of heavy-duty material, it went through 99% of everything I asked it to do. And then my neighbor from upstairs was nice enough to loan me a slightly heavier duty machine to get through one last step, which was the final assembly, where I was going through layers of webbing and shock cord and ripstop and so on and so forth. Cordura, scrap Cordura I had. So the project was a resounding success. I was extremely happy with, and I am extremely happy with the way that it turned out. The pack with the waist belt weighs in at just a shade under 900 grams. That's literally about 8 or 9 grams, could be 10 grams more than the original pack that it's modeled off of. The steps that I did, as I said, I started off with patterning out the pack. Step 2 was to cut out the patterns out of the fabric. Step 3 was to assemble the side panels, and then to build the pockets, the dump pockets for the side, and install the shock cord on those pockets. And then I proceeded to build the back of the pack. And then I assembled the front of the pack with the mesh former laundry bag stuff area, the main dump area in the front of the pack. All along the way, I kept telling myself, like, I have to build this out of everything that I have. I can't just decide, like, okay, I'm part of the problem as well was I wanted no black on this pack. It's a camouflage pack, no black. Black doesn't exist in nature, not even in burnt wood. There's no black in nature, so I wanted this to be a completely camouflage pack, and I wanted it to be made of things I had. So along the way, I was like throwing out ideas, like, I mean, all these buckles have to match. Oh, this webbing has to match. The shock cord has to match. These cable tensioners or cable locks, shock cord locks need to match. And I just said, you know what? All of this adds to the camouflage nature of the pack. So you'll notice on the final pack, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't match, but in a way, the fact that it doesn't match makes it more effective. Because when mass manufacturers make a camouflage pack, they're going to order 10,000 buckles all in coyote brown or tan or olive drab or ranger green. And they're going to just put all their webbing. They're going to get their webbing people, their webbing station to cut a whole bunch of webbing all the same. So what you end up with is not really truly a camouflage pack. You end up with a pack that's like made of multicam, or a pack that's made of a camouflage material, but all of the hardware and webbing is all matchy-matchy. And that stands out in nature. patterns, highly identifiable in nature. Your eye will go straight to a pattern. Anything that it sees that is not a natural occurring shape or shadow or line, it'll pop right against the background. You could be in some dense foliage and maybe you can bullshit your way through saying, oh, it blends in perfectly, but it doesn't. In my opinion, if you're going to build a camouflage pack, everything should be mismatched. Ranger green, female side of the buckle should go with a coyote brown male side of the buckle. Your webbing that attaches the buckle on one side should not match the webbing that matches on the other side, etc., etc., etc. You get the point. So eventually what I did, as I said, I think I left off with the building the side panels, the back panel, the front panel, and then of course the most challenging part, which actually was the most fun, was building the backpack straps themselves. And a lot of this project was a bit of a mind bender. It's like doing the Rubik's Cube inside out, because you have to plan the things that you want on first. The things that you want to see first, the things that are on the top of the pack, the top layer, have to go on last, and the things that are last have to go on first, and you're operating on doing stuff inside out. So everything that wants to be on the surface of something needs to be assembled, and then those two pieces, the front and back, need to be put face to face, sewn together, reinforced, and then you won't know if it's correct until you turn it the right way out. And that was a fun experience. So the final result, like I said, I'm extremely happy with. And what I'll do in a second here is I'll take off the pack and I'll do a little walk around. I'll do a little video walk around, and I'll also be putting in a bunch of stills here during the video of my progress. It's going to be a bit rough around the edges, but I just wanted to share with you that I was really kind of jonesing for something creative to do and something practical to build during this weird time that we're going through here with the pandemic and the lockdown and everything like that. And this project ended up being exactly what the doctor ordered. It was extremely meditative and allowed me to listen to podcasts and music and be contemplative and to take my time and to really, really just focus on one tiny task at a time. And then when all those tasks were done and all of those tiny little projects were assembled, what you get is a final result of something that you've built from scratch, from nothing but essentially junk and scrap stuff I had around my house. I also wanted to take a moment to thank a couple of YouTube channels that were extremely helpful during this. One of which is Jason of All Trades on YouTube. Jason, I've commented on a few of his videos, extremely helpful. He's a seamster who sews some pretty cool projects. And the other website that was extremely helpful, there were many that I went to for tutorials on how to do flat felled seams and how to do certain things along the way, which was all part of the experiences of learning and educating myself. But the other website, or the other YouTube channel, was Nature Calls. I believe he's located in Seattle, and I believe that Jason of All Trades is located in Florida. But both those guys, extremely helpful, so thank you, dudes, for your help. Nature Calls and Jason of All Trades. If you're looking to get some sewing tips, I would highly recommend sifting through those guys' videos. So right now I'll hit stop and I will do a little video walk around of the pack. Thanks. Okay, so here we are. I ended up taking a few bits of webbing and some buckles from my father's last backpack that he had before he passed away last year. And all of this gray webbing is from his last backpack, and a few of the, I believe the load levelers are also the buckles from that are from his pack. So I decided to name this pack after my father's middle name. So his middle name is Larke, L-A-R-K-E, and so this pack has been christened the Larke. So the Larke is a roll top pack with a main cinch down. It's like a V, a Y, I guess, cinch down at the top. The main roll top buckles down at the side here. It has the ability to go much higher. Like it could hold a ton more gear. Right now, I've probably got it down, squeezed down to about 35 liters. It's got a main mesh stuff dump area, a main pouch at the back, and that's where I have my tent and my tent fly, and that's all cinched down with some shock cord I had. And like I said, this is my old cadet laundry bag. These main straps here are from an old Alice pack that I had. Like I said, these mismatched buckles, I don't know if you can see this, these mismatched buckles, I mean, look, the webbing doesn't even match. This webbing here is from a different pack, different army pack I had. This buckle's from something else, this buckle's from something else. This is from the Alice pack, so it's a real hodgepodge, but it actually works. I actually think it looks a lot better than if it was all matchy-matchy. Anyways, so this is the Larke. This is the front of the pack, and this is the British MTP pattern main bag here, and then these pockets here are the US multicam pattern. They're similar enough that this actually looks cohesive, very similar. I'll spin it around here and you can see the harness. So here we've got the back of the pack with the shoulder harnesses, load levelers, adjustable of course, daisy chain running down the front. I incorporated a couple of loops in this so I could put my pen flare in here. The main cinch down is here at the bottom, with the main webbing that it uses is actually a off of a, like I said, an Alice pack, and these are off some old gear just basic utility straps that I had kicking around. And it's the main harness is actually attached to the pack here with just crazy overbuilt bar tacking and some US military, I guess they're aircraft cargo straps, seatbelt webbing that I used for the main, to attach the straps to the main bag. The back panel is made from the Ripstop Multicam US rain pack cover, backpack rain cover. And yeah, there you go. There you have it. I mean, this is pretty much it. It's extremely comfortable. The foam inside the straps is from is like an anti-fatigue foam. It's like a fake diamond checker plate, diamond plate foam. It's extremely comfortable. It's about, I don't know, 5 mil. The Corduras, some leftover Cordura I had from another thing. All in all, I'm extremely happy with this bag. It's extremely comfortable. The side of the pack, underneath the main roll down, roll top, cinch down, is a crisscross of shock cord to hold down my tent poles and anything long, like trekking poles or anything like that. And I made these dump pouches here on the side a little bit bigger and more angled. It's hard to tell from this angle, but it's higher over here and lower over here. Absolutely perfect for reaching my water or my bear spray while on the move. So they're lower at the front, higher at the back, and they are also cinched down with a main cinch here and also a crisscross of shock cord. This also means that if I had a wet jacket or something like that, I could also put a wet jacket or a damp something or other on the outside here, as well as on the back and on the sides. So my main tensioners on this pack are, it's all crisscross shock cord through these loops that are incorporated into the design. Right on. Okay, there's your overview.